Hey everybody, this is Carl Walker of Blackscape Entertainment, and this is Reputation Management for Candace Buchanan. This week we focus on finding out what the fan base of the Candace Buchanan brand really think about my client. By polling 50 people with a 10-question survey, this week we were able to dig a little deeper into the reputation of Candace Buchanan. So starting off, we started looking at the methods behind our research, and we actually went ahead and chose to pursue the survey method of research, in which we had a total participants of 50 people, including 25 men and 25 women. Now, this survey was, in view of this, is basically to find out what the Candace Buchanan fan base thinks of my client as far as reputation is concerned. So, beyond that, the research methodologies, we look at the survey itself was actually put up through surveymonkey.com. Great website, use it all the time. We went ahead and used a 10-question survey. Not too long. Didn't want to make it too long because after a while people start to get a little bored with with surveys. So we chose 10 questions with 5 multiple choice questions and also 5 rating questions, like a scale of 1 to 5 kind of thing. So that's what we went ahead and did. And then we also left, at the end of the survey, we gave them an additional comments section to where they can write, just their personal views on my client, the reputation of my client, how they feel the client is moving in the community, stuff like that. So it turned out pretty well. Now, the survey itself was conducted on Saturday, February 20th. And then this survey was, we found our participants for the survey through email campaigns. Now, these are not just any email campaigns. These are actually people who subscribe to the Candace Buchanan website, and many of her social media pages. So we kind of cross-reference those participants with that subscription. Now, once we sent out the emails, we actually got our pool, our basically a research pool of 25 men and 25 women that said, yes, we'll participate in the short survey. Great. So we locked down the survey. We gave them specific instructions, okay, what time, what day and time the survey was going to be conducted, which was Saturday, the February 20th. And also a direct link to the survey posted in the email. Now, of course, we did go ahead and thank our participants for their time in our research project as well. All right, looking further down into the research methodologies, we have, of course, the participants, 25 men, 25 women. We kind of targeted the ages of 22 to 28. Of course, the survey pools, like we said before, was developed through the Candace Buchanan email subscription from the website. And of course, emails were sent out to 50 participants for the survey. And that's just pretty much a little scope about what the participants were like. Now, as far as the findings for this research, there were some questions inside the survey that really stood out because of the fact that it showed the hardcore, like what did they really think about my client. Now, of course, we had some baseline questions in there, things like, how long have you listened to the Candace Buchanan show? Of course, multiple choice as well. And surprisingly, we found out that a lot of the participants have been listening to the Candace Buchanan show and following the brand itself for, the better part of 4 years or more. And another question that we had on there, on a scale of 1 to 5, how appealing is the personality of Candace Buchanan? We found that 84% of the participants in this survey found her very appealing. Of course, if you go down the chart, you could find out there were somewhat appealing in there as well, and then some people decided to stay neutral. But what we discovered, that there wasn't any negative sentiment towards the reputation, the brand, the product that my client brings to the Central Florida Airways. Now, another question that really stood out to me, and this gave me quite a surprise, is that on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being negative and 5 being positive, describe the impression of Candace Buchanan on the air. So we had a result of 45 out of 50, which was around 88% rated her a 5. And then the breakdown, 6% rated her somewhat positive, and then a 4%, which was, they stayed neutral. But it kind of correlates to the last question as well, is that she gives off a positive standpoint on her radio show and in person as well. Now, just to kind of go over the discussion of what this all really means for my client, it just shows that there's a good percentage of my client's fan base that has followed her for quite some time. There's that loyalty in there, and not in. I believe that there's a lack in radio programming for the Caribbean market in Central Florida. So I think that's why they gravitate to her as well. I believe I had a friend's dad who actually listens to the radio program as well, and he's told me flat out, he's like, I'm just happy that there's somebody in Central Florida who's doing radio programming for the Caribbean market. So that's a really strong statement coming from somebody like that. Now, of course, she has a good following that thinks highly of her on the radio as well, and also the fan base finds Candace very appealing in the community, which is strong. And you can see that if you attend some of her shows, if you watch her radio program, which is actually going live stream, this season. So that's going to be really appealing to kind of branch out the demographic and really appeal to the Central Florida market. Now, to continue that discussion, my client's constituents enjoy her programming and they can relate to her. That's the key to that positive mindset that our fan base has for my client. Of course, her style reminds you of being able to to sit down and talk to family and friends back home in the island. So that's the appeal of Candace Buchanan to her fan base. Overall, the image is entertaining, exciting. These are some of the words that came from the comment section during the research. They found her exciting. Their radio program was interesting. She had, there was one in there that said about the music content and how she relates to her publics, and so that was really a standout amongst the research answers that we got. So in conclusion for this research, we kind of summed it up. My client is well known and respected in the Caribbean community in Central Florida. The fan base loves her radio show and events, and the community is happy that there's actually somebody out there doing something to promote the interests of the people of the Caribbean in Central Florida. Now, of course, with any project, there's highs and lows. Of course, there's always room for improvement, and that's what we aim to do with Candace Buchanan. Now, if you have any further questions that I can answer about this research, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm definitely able to answer those questions. And thank you so much for watching this video. Bye-bye.